Okay, it does show that we're live. Let me just double check this. Great. I'm starting to see a couple people joining us, and I do see the notification showing up at least on one of our platforms. Um, So let's just jump right into it and get it started and going. And as you guys are joining us, I'd ask that you, of course, begin to comment on this stream. You can also start reacting to the video, which allows us to see who's tuned in with us and who's engaged. It's our way of trying to not only cater some of the conversation remarks, but also trying to give you a shout out for taking some of your day to really learn more about some of our partners. And now, for those of you that don't know already, I am Juliet Abdel. I run the Westminster Chamber of Commerce, and it's always my pleasure to have these live broadcasts on a weekly basis. And we really have two that we always stream weekly. Mondays are reserved generally for our city updates from our mayor, mayor pro tem, our councilors. They kind of rotate through the whole gamut. So if you missed this week's curveball, it was yesterday. Because Counselor Seymour had to rush over and see his newest grandbaby come into the world on Monday. So we adjusted our schedule slightly for that. That is available to you on replay, which takes me to the next comment, and that is this video is available to you at any point in time to rewind, rewatch, and hop back on. So if you're with us and you need to get off, you can always come back later. If you're joining us a little bit later in the broadcast, then thank you for watching this. And whether it is right now in real time with us this morning, in the evening, or afternoon, we do thank you for taking that time to get educated and informed about our businesses. I also want to welcome any of you new viewers to our pages. We are streaming this here on our Facebook page and YouTube channel, and we ask you to make sure that you not only like our Facebook page and are following it, but that you're also viewing this on our YouTube platform and subscribe on there, which makes it so much easier when we go live. Instead of waiting to scroll through, you get that immediate notification when we go live, and it saves you time and it saves us from having to do that little bit of an awkward pause at the start. So that's my spiel for engaging with us on our social channels. Be sure to hit the share button on this video so others in your network can see that we're live and can also join us along the way. Now, our Wednesdays are always reserved for our new member features or a welcome into our business community with some of our partners. It's an opportunity for you to meet the friendly faces that we get to see on a continual basis so you can understand who they are past just their brand and what their website might say or online presence. With that, I just want to go ahead and share my excitement in having Todd with me from Iron Cross Services. Thank you, Todd, for being able to join me this morning.
Thank you.
Of course. And then I want to give you all a quick example of how to comment. Commenting on our videos allows us, of course, to see your profile picture, the quick remark that you have, as our board chairman, Marco Brown, has already done. Thank you for the quick good morning. We also have Brian Head on here with us, giving us a quick good morning message to both Todd and myself. We thank you both for engaging with us as our first few on the broadcast, and really are just ready to dive right into it. Todd, I have you for a few minutes. So what I'd love to do is talk to people a little bit about you, about your business and vision. And then maybe if we have time, either take up questions or talk a little bit more specific to your industry. But let's tell folks who Todd is in a nutshell.
Wow. So Todd in a nutshell. I think like most people, I identify myself as a Colorado resident. I love Colorado, love being from Colorado and everything that it offers. I have a 14, almost 15-year-old son. My wife and I live here in the Westminster area. We have for a while. I don't want to really date myself here. um, we love the community. We love the location, and we try to do our best to be part of the community and part of Colorado. And we we love Colorado and all that it has to offer, but we'll take every chance we can get to sneak away to a beach or a pool as well.
I can't blame you, especially with the incredibly long winters lately. Seems like tropics and just anywhere warmer sounds quite amazing right now.
Uh,
But you've been here for a long period of time in our community. I would say a long period, 30 plus years seems like that. And you've chosen to make Westminster where you started up a business. Was it your own business idea that you came up with? Was it a business you bought? Let's share a little bit about that journey first before we talk to people about what your business is and does. I know we're going to kind of come at this a little bit differently.
the I'll skip the first part of my origin story. Um, Iron Cross strictly started as it was an accident. I didn't wake up one day, decide to abandon my first career in life, and start a commercial snow removal company. It kind of happened by accident. I stumbled onto a plow truck in my first season. I had no idea what I was doing, um, and kind of fumbled through it. And then it takes a really, some people say special. It takes a very special individual to get up at 2 o'clock in the morning and go drive around in the middle of a snowstorm. And it
Yeah.
just so happens I'm wired that way. So I didn't start out to build a multi-million-dollar a year commercial snow removal company. It was uh, my previous career at the time. The industry was just kind of dead, so I just had to pivot a little bit, and I saw a great potential. And at the end of the day, I think like a lot of entrepreneurs, I'm a horrible employee. So working for myself is a better suit, and it helps me appreciate the employees I do have. So
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you get to surround yourself with some of those incredible people that have different skill sets, and maybe the skill sets that you feel like you add that value and the strength that you might not have. So it's kind of it's a neat place to be in, and I think it also speaks to the fun place that you're in, that you just kind of stumbled on it, right? And it was just like it happened organically, and that's an entrepreneurial journey in itself. This no roadmap, but you just kind of drove straight into it and started up out of scratch and out of this small idea that you had and took that risk on. So let's tell people a little bit more about what Iron Cross is. And let's also start with when that idea became a reality for you. So, what year did you go ahead and incorporate, and then what services do you offer?
so Iron Cross has been in business since 2010. Originally, we started as a commercial snow removal contractor.
Yeah.
We have now refined. We know who we are more as a company for sure. So when we look at Iron Cross as a whole, I always say we have three distinct silos of revenue. We have our commercial snow removal, we have a landscape division, and then we do construction hauling. So dump trucks, side dumps, dirt, rock, concrete, things like that. It's been kind of a journey to get where we are with all three silos of revenue, and figuring out it's like having three different kids. They all have their own personality, they all have their own place in the world, and they all feed off each other. And sometimes they're their best friends, and sometimes they're their
Yeah,
worst enemies.
totally.
Um, but it's definitely taken us a while to really identify who we are, what we're good at, what we're not good at. At the end of the day, people ask me all the time. They're like, "Oh, snow removal." So it's a guy in a truck. I'm like, it's a little more detailed than that.
Yeah.
I tout us as we are a high volume, high efficiency, low tolerance, meaning we like lots and lots of acreage of parking lot, lots and lots of sidewalk, and we want to be there before it starts to snow.
Totally.
And then on top of that, we take a total project management approach, meaning we're very systematic about how we do what we do. It's not just, hey, it's snowing, go to work. Everybody has a very specific SOP or standard operating procedure when it comes to every job site that we have.
Right. Yeah, and you mentioned this to us at your recent kind of grand opening, ribbon cutting, re-grand opening, ribbon cutting celebration with us. How many employees do you have that are helping to run these three different divisions in totality?
So we have 20 full-time Iron Cross staff year-round.
Mhm.
The unique thing about Iron Cross is when it comes to the winter time, we onboard so many subcontractors and seasonal labor. We swell from that 20 mark up to 400 and 450 depending on the storm. So
Wow.
obviously a lot of those are subcontractors to us, but they all fly under that Iron Cross name. And we're very diligent about who we do business with to make sure that they're portraying us, our values, and meeting or exceeding our clients' expectations.
Yeah, and let's talk a little bit more about that if that's okay. Let's unpack this because
Absolutely.
the business that you do, safety is such an incredible role in the services that you offer. And how do you maintain a high level of safety and quality control when you are having to add in, contingent on the specific project, that magnitude of external workers that are representing your company and are going out on behalf of you?
Um, so first of all, we always have to know our clients' expectations, right? And we have to be able to communicate those expectations both internally and externally. So we have to know who that is as a company, and we have to be able to push that down to our subcontractors. Um, we didn't just flip the switch and get to the size where we are overnight. We are very fortunate um, that we have a lot of long-standing relationships with a lot of our subcontractors, and they've come along with us on this journey. So these sites that we do, right? Everybody knows when it comes to a hospital, they all have their own little quirks. When it comes to large office complexes, they all have their own little ins and outs. So we've grown at such a kind of steady pace. We've never become overwhelmed, and we've become experts in our field in that we can look for those pitfalls. We know we're always watching for those entrances on the north side of a building because they always hold snow first and they hold it the longest, right? And then we've had to become experts in material as well. We've had to become the experts in asphalt, concrete, pavers. Anything that you walk on that we remove snow on, all has its own characteristic. And then on top of that, no two storms are ever the same. And then if we really want to nerd out, right, we can start talking about different moisture content of snow and the time of year. And then we can talk about the median. Is it paver? Is it asphalt? Then we can start to talk about the different de-icers that we use. Um, and again, this is something that 13 years ago, I'm like, cool, I'll just jump in a truck and go push some snow around. I've become a gigantic nerd when it comes to pavement and asphalt. And is it fresh concrete? Can we not use product on it? Um, and the biggest thing we do, and what I really try to push down to everybody, is that we're not a snow removal company. What we are is we are there to provide risk mitigation or risk management for our clients. We do a lot of work for hospitals. So there's not a whole lot of tolerance. When people are at a hospital, it's not typically because they're healthy. They're already in a wheelchair, on crutches, or they have something going on, right? So we have to be on top of our game to get them in and out of those facilities as efficiently and as safely as possible. And that goes with all of our sites. That's not just our hospital clients, right? Office buildings need those people to get into work, right? Now that COVID's over and we're back in the office. Shopping centers. It's not just the customers that need to get in safely, but it's the personnel that work there, right? If they can't get into work, if that cashier can't get into Target to do her job, she can't pay her bills. So at the end of the day, we provide a much needed service to our clients so that they can stay open for business. But on the flip side, we're keeping it safe for everybody. And that's just to wrap your mindset around, hey, we're not just here to push snow. Really, what we're here is to mitigate the risk. We're here to mitigate the risk for the client, their customers, and anybody who happens upon the site.
Yeah, and I think that's probably a big misconception that's out there when they do see snow removal is that they think that you are just removing snow and that's it. You know, you're just focused on that transactional piece to it. But to what you're speaking of, your clients differ, and obviously their clientele tell does as well. And with each situation, each scenario, it's so unique. The hospital situation versus that shopping center that you just gave us, and I bet you can talk with me for hours about the different types of methods for the types of snowfall or what it is that's out there, and how you handle whether it's construction hauling or the snow hauling. And we can touch on that, of course, if we get to the point where we run out of so much content that I'm like, let's just go ahead and talk about those minute details. But it is pretty impressive that it's so much more than what people think of when you initially think of snow removal, because you think of the person that just jumps into their truck and kind of goes at it and makes that happen. Now, you briefly answered this in some of your answers, but I wanted you to clarify that for folks, and that is the clients that you service. Are they purely commercial? Is it residential? Is it quasi? Or who generally would seek your type of business?
So we are pretty much B2B. So we are business to business. There's a lot of people who are really good in that residential space. They're good at managing that site to site to site, that high efficiency, getting through it. Our model is a little bit different in that the majority of our we do more work with heavy equipment, so front end loaders, skid steers, things like that. So we're not as mobile as somebody who does residential, and that our sites don't. Most of our employees and subcontractors, we're not site to site to site. You go one place and you're there for the entire duration of the storm. So we're really looking for those clients who have a little bit of a larger footprint. It doesn't have to be a large footprint, right? But it's that larger footprint where we can leave equipment on site, where we can be there for the duration of the storm. Because we really like to create a plan for every single site that we have so that we have repeatability for the client as well. And that's really hard when we're constantly having to shuffle guys from here to here to here. We can own a site and we can train the guys for that site, and then they really start to operate autonomously from top to bottom.
Totally. And if I can just add, if someone's living in an apartment, for example, that's technically I mean, if they want their apartment complex to seek your services, like by all means, like push your apartment complexes to do that with you directly, because they can still value from them, obviously cleaning that up.
Absolutely.
So I do want to reemphasize that unless you're in that single family or housing dwelling where you actually own it, you obviously wouldn't be able to directly do business, but you probably have influence if you are renting or are in a housing condition where it is property maintained and managed. And to Todd's credit, this isn't a one and done. They don't just get off. And so, what would you expect to be the average length of time? I guess would be a quick question that I wanted to throw your way, that you might be on site for something. Like, is there at a minimum, like the lowest that you're ever going to be out on a site is this many days, or this many hours? And or you can answer it by saying, the lowest one I've ever had was this scenario, and the longest was this. I mean, we'd love to hear about those kind of extremes as well.
We can do tales from the snowplow truck for days. The way there are some weird things that happen at 2 o'clock in the morning in the middle of a snowstorm. Okay. But typically when we look at a site and we're talking with a client, we our pallet. So the number of shovelers, the type of equipment, we look at that. So our typical 2 to 6 inch storm, we try to get we try to get through that in like 4 to 6 hours. And of course, that's if Mother Nature would just let us know, hey, it's going to snow at midnight. We'll be done by 2, so you have until 8 to get it done. It doesn't work that way, obviously. But we try to gear every site for that pallet so that we can be in and out in that 4 to 6 hour time period. Because we try to be really respectful of our employees and our subcontractors' time as well, and that nobody wants to get out of bed at 2 o'clock in the morning for 2 hours, right? If we're going to get up and we're going to get suited up and we're going to go play out in the snow, we want it to be worth it. Sometimes we get through storms quicker than others. And then sometimes, it snows for 24, 48 hours straight as well. And we have to be prepared to handle that.
Wow, that is crazy. I had no idea that it could be that delayed. But I guess that makes sense because it's so unpredictable, especially with the volume of snow that you might get per time that's out there. For folks that are curious, that are interested in finding your physical space, you're located somewhere in our community? Let's tell people where that is, and then can they actually find you online virtually if they wanted to read a little bit more about some of these services that we're offering or see some of what you do out in the community?
Absolutely. We can be located at 8567 West 108th Avenue, and that's Westminster 80021. You can find us online at ironcrossservices.com. You can find us on Facebook at Iron Cross Services. Instagram and Twitter are also Iron Cross Services, and you can find us on LinkedIn at Iron Cross Services.
Not many others that have already taken up that same name, huh? Which is kind of neat.
If there's one piece of advice I can give anybody who's thinking about starting a business, think about how your email address is going to work. That's a lot of S's, okay?
I was thinking that as I was typing in the website for you in here, I was like, oh my gosh, am I spelling this right or wrong? Like, did they abbreviate at any point to try and save people this process? That's too funny that you said that.
Yeah.
And are you guys, is there someone always on site or are you always off site because you're doing those projects? I know.
That's the interesting thing about where we do the size of our company, the space we're in. No 2 days are ever the same.
Yeah.
You can usually find me in the office pretty early in the morning. But my days are a mixture of I'm in the office or I could be on site with my crews. Or, it's always Taco Tuesday somewhere. Okay.
Right. There's always a reason to have tacos somewhere, for sure. But what I've done is include the details of how they can find you physically, included that into the chat. We've also included how they can find you on your website, which is actually updated and has information for people on the different services listed, your email, your phone number, all of that good stuff. I've also included that you have Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and LinkedIn for those of you that want to socially connect with Iron Cross Services. Todd, was there something that I didn't ask you that you were really hoping to get out there today for folks? And if so, let's hear that at this point in the broadcast.
I would say that if you really want to learn more about us and the things that we do, our Instagram, we have some really great pictures on there.
Yeah.
We have a photographer who comes down once a week and shoots some high quality organic content for us. And we're always trying to drive some message with our posts as well, right? We're trying to bring awareness to diversity in the workplace, or is it Administration Appreciation Week? The people running our Instagram and our social media are doing a great job of not just pushing really cool pictures of snowplow trucks and dump trucks and skidsters, but they're pushing some meaningful content to go with it. So we're not trying to be just another pretty face. We're trying to be all encompassing as a company, and be aware of our environment, the community that we live in, and just bring things to real life. I mean, we're real people. We live and work in the Westminster area in Colorado, and we love it, and our home, and we're trying our best to make it a better place.
Yeah, for sure. Well, thank you so much for sharing that for people. And I think, people like to see that in the companies. They like to see that feel of the community in there. And more than anything is see the actual companies posting content that is updated and is relevant to them and it isn't just stock. So I'm glad that you have your Instagram pages updated to that degree. And I encourage everyone, of course, whether you're watching it right now or later on, to take that time to go out there and learn more about them. And if you are watching this at a later point, make sure to give us that hashtag replay so we can make sure that we see any comments that you post out or any questions. If you have questions you did not ask us because you weren't with us live, you could always still comment them on this video or DM the page and we'll get that over to Todd. I want to give a quick shout out to Emilio. I see you on here as well with us and a couple other folks. But we have Todd with us from Iron Cross Services, and he's gone over who he is, a little bit more about how he started up this business, what services they offer, and how you can engage with them. And what we always ask is for you to hit the share button so others in your network can learn more about the businesses, and that you could also do your part in supporting another locally owned business that managed and also another chamber partner of ours. So with that, I want to give you all the rest of your Wednesday afternoon. And Todd, thank you so much. It's been such a great time to hear a little bit more about your business from you. I always learn something every time we visit together. And I just love that. I love that there are more things that we can always learn about each other and be able to communicate better about one another along the way. So
Great.
thank you so much.
Thank you, Juliet. By the way, you are such an amazing ambassador for the
Oh,
chamber. Thank you so much for all you do.
I
It's
appreciate that. You make my job. You know, I always tell people like I love the members. Like I love you guys. You make the whole organization, and it's my part in it is just being here to make sure that you guys succeed and keep on going along the way. So love what I do, and thank you so much for that compliment.
thank you.
Bye bye.